together. Everybody does it. And therefore, if everybody does it, it has to be all right. How many times you have or you use this phrase, in Cuba you use this phrase when you are trying to say something to your kids and you are trying to tell them not to do something. Say, if everybody jump off a bridge, you will jump off a bridge too. Do you use that phrase in here? How many times you have heard that one, David? It's a lot. Lily, how many times you hear that one? Very few. Charlie hears that one a lot more than you. Probably. Everybody does it. Therefore, it should be okay. Today we have a principle in which Sarai is doing exactly what everybody else is doing. She is not breaking any rule. We can go as far to say that she trusts and believes in the promise of God, but she is just giving God a helping hand. How bad it can be to give God a helping hand. How bad it can be. You are just like helping him a bit. I was in a board of governors of a school, and then you get the problem that you have when parents give the kids a helping hand. Now you have this thing called some dog, and then the kids needs to do some homework in some dog, and then this program have a bit of artificial intelligence. And then if you help your kids, some dog think that your kid is more clever than whatever your kid is. And then some dog rise the level. And then you got a couple of parents complaining that the kids cannot answer any question. And it was because one day the parent decided, I am going to do this homework quickly because I don't have time to explain this to the kid. And so he offered a bit of a helping hand. And then some dog thought, oh, your child is a genius. The child is not a genius, a helping hand. We have in this passage, Sarai is offering a helping hand. Look, Sarai is not bad. Whatever you think, whatever Sarai is thinking, she is having a logical argument. It has been 10 years. 10 years since they arrived to the promised land. Sarai hasn't gotten any younger. If Sarai was the age of Liz, upon the arriving on the promised land, Sarai is now closer to Maud. And she's being clever now. No criticizing our wonderful Maud in there. Don't take it wrong. But she is just being clever. She's saying like, listen, it's not going to happen. I am not going to get pregnant. I trust in God. I believe that He gave me a promise. He maybe forgot a bit about it, so I am not going to deny and say to God, I don't believe in you, but I need to give Him a bit of a help. And I have this Egyptian lady that I got as a present when Abram lied to God. And now we are just having a bit of a convolution of sins and mistakes. And then I'm going to offer this lady to my husband. Feminists, this is the time when you scream, okay? A woman is no property. But we are in a crazy world. We just said that. So I'm going to offer this, and Abram is saying, I would take it. And then she will have the baby for me. Just a helping hand to God. What can go wrong? What? Well, effectually, everything can go wrong. You have the story, and behold, The husband was called to do this. What is the anatomy of an unbelief? Sarah is logical. Sarah is clever. Sarah doesn't deny, but Sarah doesn't believe. And then you get Sarah starting the problem, and then you have this phrase that is key, and don't try to transpolate this phrase to everything that is happening later. Because look what we read this. And Abram listened to the voice of Sarah, which is written in the same phrase and in the same waveline than Adam listened to the voice of Eve. And then if you are reading this, and you are reading this as a first audience reading this, and you just finished reading the story of the Garden of Eden when everything went wrong, you are like, oh boy, this is not good. What happened the last time the husband listened to the voice of the wife? In this concept in the Bible, okay? Because you get to the fundamentalist Christians that said, never listen to the voice of a woman, because the women are always wrong. Look, Adam listened to Eve, Abram listened to Sarai, and everything was wrong. So the woman shall never talk. That's not what the passage is saying. If that's what you want to believe the passage is saying, go on your dander and be single. That doesn't work. But the passage is pointing out to a major mistake. And then, as Abram listened to this, you get to three things that Abram failed to do, and is very important, because polygamy is always a mistake. In this situation, when Abram is there, Abram made three mistakes. First, he did not resist. Because, let's be honest, and I'm just like going to move outside to the pulpit to say this part. Let's be honest. Abram is with Sarai. She is a bit old, getting in years, and she is offering this young chick to play around. Oh, he doesn't resist. Poor Abram. He's struggling with the task that he was given. Abram does, like the Bible says, he went into that tent. The Bible should say, like, he went running into that tent. Abram did not resist. He was giving a gift. Off we go. Happy days. But as he failed to resist temptation, he failed also to protect. And the job of Abram as the father of the family, the job of the husband, is to protect. And thirdly, to provide. And as you notice in the Bible passage, he did not resist, he did not protect, and he did not provide. So basically in this passage, Abram, the father of faith, the guy that rescued Lot, the guy that sat with Melchizedek, has become a useless of a man. An absolute useless of a man. Because he doesn't only fail to protect Sarai as a wife, but he fails to protect Hagar as a servant, as a woman, and as a concubine / wife, or whatever you want to call. Because immediately, like, you could see this happening. I grew up in Latin America. We are very famous for telenovelas. Oh boy. You call it here soap operas or whatever. It's never a good idea to have a side chick. Never a good idea. Like if you are watching the telenovelas or whatever, there is always a lot of drama that is going to happen. And you could see this developing and happening. Sarai said to Abram, knock it off, darling. Just Hagar is going to do my job. We are going to do this crazy thing. Then I open my leg. She is there. She delivers a baby, and the baby is mine. And Abram is like, ooh, yes, let's go for it. Immediately. At the moment that he is coming out of that tent, he should think, oh, this was not a good idea. The two ladies are fighting. And then he that is supposed to protect, supposed to provide, because now you have your wife, now you have your side chick that has been pregnant, in the East Belfast terminology, knockoff or whatever, and you have a baby on the go. And then Sarai say, I don't like this lady anymore. And he say, oh, not my problem. She was my problem for just a while, but not anymore. So he failed to protect, and he failed to provide. Because now you have Hagar running away, because we are not going to go into the specifics, but if you read a bit of history, you know that Abram and Hagar come from Ur of the Chaldeans. And these people in Ur of the Chaldeans have a long history of being very mean with their slave. This is not that Sarai just look at Hagar with crossed eyes. She abused Hagar. And when you are thinking about this, you are looking at Abram, and my respect from Abram is going down and down and down and down. So this lady that is pregnant is now on the run. This lady that is pregnant is now on the run. And where is she going? She is from Egypt. She is going back to Egypt. But now we are thinking in something. Because the God that knows the time, the God that made the promise to Abram in last chapter, is saying that the people of Israel are going to be a slave in Egypt. But 450 years later, he is going to make the plagues. He is going to destroy the Egyptians, and he is going to finish with those people. And now, Hagar is running. He's running away from the people of God, back to the place that she is born, to get caught into the judgment of God in 450 years. So maybe the descendants of Hagar are going to be those that follow the people of God when the sea is open and they die. So this is not good for her, don't she? So, what happened when Abram failed to resist, provide, and protect? What a blessing. Then God doesn't fail. Verse 7. The angel of the Lord found her by a spring of water in the wilderness. The angel of the Lord. Every time that we fail, every time that we don't do what we are supposed to do, God has to do it. I always have the argument, and I said to my girl, do you think the plates wash by themselves? Or you heard somebody saying, do you think your shoes gets back to the cover by themselves, by the magic? No, they don't. Somebody else has to do it. Every time that a Christian fails, God has to do it. So God has to pick up the slack and do it. And if you read, it says the angel of the Lord. It doesn't say an angel. It says the angel of the Lord. And there is something very symbolic with this word angel. Because this word angel doesn't exist in Hebrew or in Greek. When the Wycliffe was translating the Bible, they discovered that in some places it says the messenger of the Lord, in some places say the presence of the Lord, in some places say the Lord appears to. And God bless the Wycliffe ministries and all the job that they did translating the Bible. I am not here to judge. You get people that try to judge the King James or the Reina Valera and all the stuff because we know a bit more now. And then I will say in 50 years when people know more, they can criticize my sermon and say that guy was an idiot. And you will say, yes, I am an idiot. But they didn't have all the knowledge. And they say, this is too complicated to explain, because when can you explain or say that it's an angel? When can you say, well, I will not use the word angel now. When can you say that it's a messenger? When do you have to say that it's God? When do you have to say that it's Jesus? When do you have to say that it's the Holy Spirit? Or when you have to say that it's the host of heaven? Because there is not only one person living in heaven. And then they decide to invent a word that comes from the Latin angelica, and then they say angel. And we put angel wherever we have doubts, and we put angel in there. And then 650 years later, we just read angel, and we suppose that the angel is the beautiful chubby baby with blonde curly hair that have some wings, a tiny bump that is naked, and fly around. And then you're like, this is the angel of the Lord. That in the original translation says the presence of God, which is Jesus Christ, shows to Hagar. Trust your translation, but not trust it like the iron chair. Get in the wooden chair. Because sometimes, as you translate, things get lost. Ask me when I am translating somebody speaking in Spanish and he's talking a lot of nonsense, I translate whatever I want and I make the message a lot better. That's what happens when you are translating. So, the presence of the Lord found her by the spring of water. And then said, where have you come from? And where are you going? He knows. He knows our trouble. He knows what we are going through. But he still wants to listen to us. He still wants for us to land our burden, to vomit to him all of our problems. He wants us to drop things to him. You see Hagar explaining everything, and then you get this passage, and he's sending her back. He's sending her back, but he's sending her back with kind of a crazy message. Look at verse 11. Behold, you are pregnant, and shall bear a son. You shall call his name Ishmael, because the Lord has listened to your affliction. He shall be a wild donkey of a man, his hand against everyone, and everyone against him. And he shall dwell over against all of his kinsmen. And then you are like, this is a bit crazy. Because you and I know that he is not the son of the promise. You and I know that he is not Jesus. But if you read this passage and you read all the messengers and angels of the Lord giving the promised kids, that sounds like it. That's why in the Muslim religion they believe that this is the Messiah, that this is the guy. Because you read that passage and Let me read it again. Behold, you are pregnant and shall bear a son. You shall call him Ishmael. Do you see it? But I know, we know that that's not the son of the promise. But we know that we believe in a God of love, in a God of kindness, a God that sees the invisible, a God that hears the suffering, and a God that gives direction, a God that listens, a God that protects, and a God that provides. So in all the things that Abram felt, God is there to pick up the slack. So she get a promise. She goes back. And then look what Hagar says. You are a God of sin. You think about the life of this lady. Let's get in perspective the life of this lady. She was in Egypt. And then this fellow arrived, lies, and then she is given as a slave for this lady that ended up not being the sister of the guy, but the wife of the guy, and then she is just taken out of his land in Egypt and ended up having to live with these people. She is a foreigner with only this lady as a family. So if you are a foreigner and you don't have many friends, you get to trust the person that you are spending all the time with, because you have lost all of your connections. You have lost all of the stuff that you know. And so you think, this woman is my family. This woman is my nation. This woman is my everything. And then out of the sudden, this woman doesn't see you as any more than an instrument for her. And then off you go and sleep with the old fellow. That's not good. So she says, maybe if I sleep with this old fellow, I will raise my position and I will have a better position. But at the moment that she is pregnant, she is back to the bottom of the pile. And now that woman that is supposed to be my friend and my family despise, abuse, attack me, betray me. So what can I do? I am running back to home, but where is home? I have no home. And in the midst of all of that, Jesus comes and sees her, hears her, protects her. What a blessing. What a blessing that we have Jesus and we don't depend on us, because we are a piece of crap. So she says, you are the God of sin. Truly here I have seen who looks after me. Then she called this place Ber Lahai Road. That is the God who sees. But wherever she is calling this place, we realize that Abram and Sarai have failed to testify about God, because they know Elohim. They know the God that makes the promise. They know the God of grace. They know the God that is going to create a great nation to them. They know that God say, I will bless you, so you will bless all the nations. But the foreigner in her house doesn't know God, because they haven't shared about that God to her. So she have to come up with a name, because she doesn't know the name of Jesus, because the Christians haven't shared the name of Jesus. And then when you are reading this passage, you are extremely cross with Abram and Sarai, because they have failed in multiple places and in multiple occasions. They didn't care, they didn't love, they didn't share, they didn't witness. They just like, this is a disaster. So Jesus have to pick up the slack, because we fail again. And then she just goes back. And then she is, in a sense, restored. Restored. Why? Completely. Because in the last verse, when you are having the birth of Ishmael, Sarai is out of the picture. And this lady, this concubine, this slave, this nobody becomes the wife of the patriarch. We know that the story is not going to finish too well for her later. But, and Hagar bore Abram's son, and Abram called the name of his son Ishmael. And the name has a promise. And being able to name somebody in the Bible, when you stay in the Bible, then somebody is giving a name. It's like the promise was sealed on him. Because God sees, God hears, and God redeems. And wherever we fail, He picks up the slack. Many blessings.